Look across anime and games and the pattern is impossible to miss. Pilot suits, battle suits, bunny suits, superhero spandex. The bodysuit keeps coming back. Not because creators ran out of ideas, but because it is one of the fastest visual tools in character design. The trick is efficiency. A bodysuit can show movement, silhouette, and identity in one shot. Before a character speaks, the audience can already read whether they are a pilot, fighter, experiment, idol, superhero, or outsider. But the story does not start with anime at all. It starts with performance. Circus artists, trapeze performers, dancers, and strongmen needed clothing that made the body readable from the back row without getting in the way. That is why the leotard matters. For an aerial performer, loose cloth is not decoration. It can snag, flap, hide the line of the body, or break the illusion of control. The fitted one piece solved a real problem first. On stage, the costume turns motion into spectacle. The audience sees posture, speed, balance, strength, and danger. That same design grammar later becomes incredibly useful for action scenes and animation. The logic moved from stage to sport. In gymnastics, swimming, and strength sports, tight clothing removes visual noise. Judges and viewers can read angles and movement clearly while the athlete is not fighting the costume. For women, the practical one piece also became a social fight. In the early 20th century, a swimsuit designed for real swimming could be treated as scandalous simply because it showed the body's outline. Annette Kellerman pushed that boundary. Her swimsuit was athletic before it was glamorous. The argument was simple. If the purpose is to swim, why should the clothing fight the swimmer? Over time, that practical logic won ground. The one piece became normal enough for pop culture to turn it into a school, sport, and youth symbol. Anime did not invent the signal, it inherited it. That is why school swimsuits in anime feel instantly readable. They sit at the end of a long chain: sport, uniform, social rule, nostalgia, and then stylized character design. Then superheroes changed the meaning again. The bodysuit stopped being only practical clothing and became a border between ordinary people and impossible bodies. It reads like a second skin. A superhero suit works because it shows power directly. Chest, shoulders, stance, motion. Put the same character in normal streetwear and the myth shrinks. The bodysuit removes everyday detail and leaves the symbolic body. Once the silhouette is clean, color can do the talking. A chest mark, visor, stripe, or glowing seam becomes enough to identify the character from across the frame. That is why animation loves this shape. Science fiction upgrades the same idea. The suit becomes equipment, pressure gear, neural interface, cockpit uniform, combat armor, or a machine that hugs the body, because the body itself is part of the control system. That is the real reason the bodysuit keeps returning. It is not just clothing, it is a language for motion, technology, vulnerability, strength, and fantasy. Change the context and the same shape can feel heroic, futuristic, cute, dangerous, or lonely. For the full remake, the next section should move into 80s fitness culture, Japanese pop media, sci-fi pilot suits, bunny girl uniforms, and cyberpunk. That is where this old performance garment becomes a modern ACG obsession. Fashion then learns the same trick from another angle. A bodysuit can look athletic, glamorous, futuristic, or almost alien depending on the fabric, lighting, and pose. That flexibility is why it keeps crossing between sportswear, stagewear, and character design. The 80s fitness wave gives the outfit a new public image. Bright colors, leg warmers, studio lights, and exercise videos turn the leotard into a symbol of energy. Japanese media absorbs that look very quickly. In Japan, the signal starts mixing with idols, tokusatsu, sci-fi, school clubs, and arcade-era game art. The outfit no longer belongs to one world. It becomes a reusable code for performance, youth, technology, and spectacle. Mecha and cockpit stories make the logic especially clear. If the pilot's body is linked to a machine, the suit becomes the interface. It tells us the character is not just wearing equipment, they are becoming part of a system. The Bunny Girl version adds another layer. It is a uniform, a stage costume, and a fantasy signal at the same time. That is why it can read playful, commercial, elegant, awkward, or dangerous depending on the scene. This is also why the outfit is so easy to reuse and so easy to argue about. The same basic shape can be practical in one context and provocative in another. Character design lives inside that tension. Games push the idea even further because the screen is busy. Combat effects, UI, weapons, enemies, and camera motion can swallow detail. A clear bodyline helps the player read motion instantly. Cyberpunk makes the bodysuit feel technical rather than old-fashioned. It can suggest synthetic skin, smart fabric, body modification, surveillance, corporate fashion, or identity crisis. That is why it fits Neon World so naturally. So the English remake should not be a frozen lecture. It needs moving clips, circus and sport references, official game footage, anime-style generated transitions, and fast visual examples that support each argument without copying the original line by line. That is the spine of the full video. Function becomes symbol, symbol becomes fantasy, and fantasy becomes a reusable design language. The topic is funny on the surface, but the reason it works is surprisingly structural. For more ACG design stories and game culture breakdowns, subscribe to GameGeeker. Find your next game at GameGeeker.com.